Hello, everyone. My name is Sam Azzarello, and I lead content strategy for global research at J.P Morgan. And I'm thrilled to be here speaking at DITA World 2025. I'm going to be talking about three things, because I like speaking in threes, around what were important lessons that helped us take our content strategy and make it commercial and impactful as I was building that function from scratch. So to foreshadow, those three things are trust, scale, and digital engagement. So before we get into it, a bit of context. Global research is an absolute powerhouse. We produce over 130,000 pieces of knowledge-based content per year. We have about 1,000 subject matter experts, research analysts, all around the globe, covering asset classes, countries, regions, over 5,000 single name companies from an equity and a credit perspective. Effectively, we have a lot of expertise and a lot of content, really good quality content, award-winning, in fact, that we put out every year. As well, we're moving, I would say, more and more into technical documentation to support our digital products, whether it be platform, mobile app, other digital channels. And I will get into that as well. So, lesson one. Trust, building trust and credibility with every interaction. And when I paused to think about this, trust isn't something that we explicitly state, if that makes sense. I don't think we're going around saying, I trust him, they trust us, she trusts her. We don't really state it that way, but trust actually underpins so much. It underpins our relationships, working relationships, client relationships. It underpins a lot of what we're trying to do. So I tasked myself and the team to think about it a bit more explicitly. What does it mean to put trust at the center and really aim to build trust and credibility with every interaction? So obviously trust starts with relationships, in my opinion. And I was thinking about this one with stakeholders and internals, and then I'll talk about it with respect to clients. So with respect to internal stakeholders, trust is through every interaction. And what I think that means in practice and in reality and being very pragmatic is when you have a strategy, you have to communicate that strategy well, bring people along for the ride, make them feel like they're part of it, because they should be part of it, and make sure there's really open and honest feedback loops with communication. All of this isn't to sound, kind of woo-woo. This is meant to be actual business principles that allows us to get things done and get the right things done on time. So what I'm showing you here on this slide was a few things that we did that I don't think we could have been able to do if we hadn't had that trust built with our senior stakeholders and all our partners. Now, our senior stakeholders are going to be the business, our research analysts, those who've been working in the division for a long time. It's going to be sales, trading. It's going to be everyone we build with. So that's going to be our developers, our designers, UX, UI, and all of that has to come together. Everyone really does need to trust each other and know they're on the same page. The strategy needs to be well communicated, and it needs to be clear to everyone what their part is in this, what they're doing, and why it matters. So for instance, when we put together a new research homepage, we had never had that before. So there had to be trust with the research analyst that we were going to do it right from an editorial perspective and put the right content on the top, spotlight the right things. That meant fairness and transparency. There wasn't going to be favorites. We were going to use data, and we were also going to use news flow and client interest and effectively pull together qualitative and quantitative inputs to decide what goes on the front page and why. Also, there had been an ask from a very senior department head for podcasts. Something that this person wanted. They thought it was valuable. We went and looked through the data and found that clients did want podcasts. We wanted to meet them where they already were. And this was an ask from a very senior researcher. And we decided to make that happen. And when I promised this person it would happen, it was, I guess, putting trust on the line to know that I was going to come through with what I had promised we would deliver. So I think trust and credibility takes a few forms, but it's about the strategy, being communicated very well, bringing people along for the ride. It's also doing the things you say you're going to do, and it's doing the things that really matter. Now, from a client perspective, I think trust is paramount through that human to human interaction. I really believe that. And you can augment and support and build on trust through feeds, platforms, and digital experiences. But I do think at the heart of it, at the start of it, it's human to human. So what does that look like then? So in our minds, it was building trust in moments of market volatility and uncertainty. Our clients, and there's a range of them, come to us all the time. There's a two-way dialogue. But I especially think that in moments of market vol, uncertainty, when someone might need knowledge, need to know something, need to be updated, that's when you can really solidify and build on trust, which is very, very powerful. So I've been cognizant of not letting those moments pass us by with respect to how we use content strategy. So what you're looking at here, it feels like it was a long time ago, but it was really just the spring of 2023 when we had US banking crisis. Maybe we'll call it a mini banking crisis. There was sector volatility. There was a lot going on. And we decided that we wanted to augment the human relationships with a scalable digital experience. So absolutely, sales and trading, we're talking to our clients, our researchers, we're talking to our clients constantly. But we also decided to use a digital experience to amplify and have a place that our partners in sales, our clients could come to do something digital that supported them in a moment of market volatility and uncertainty. So using Adobe Experience Manager, which is our CMS, we pulled together content from all around the world on banking sector vol into one page. And we couldn't have done this a few years ago. We just didn't have the tech stack. We didn't have the back end. And now we could. And we spun this up in, I want to say, about 3 hours. Whereas before it used to take us a few weeks to spin up a new page and get content into one spot. Also, we couldn't guarantee that all the content would be in one place, just given how everything was stored and used. That's not the case now. With a new CMS, a new way to query and pull content that's been tagged, we're able to pull it all in one place quickly, efficiently, effectively. And I'm able to say with a lot of certainty, a high amount of confidence, that all of the banking sector content was pulled into one spot and you could find it in one place. You did not need to search, across 25 different web pages on our portal. Also, what we did, we hosted client webinars, client calls, and we did this at scale. We posted the replays. We then pulled all the content and key insights into one email and sent that out to clients on a regular cadence. And that's this idea of clients were already talking to sales and research, and we were able to use digital experiences to further solidify that trust. Number 2, scale. So scale is essential, and this really allows us to extend the reach of our analysts. If you think about it, 1,000 people doing knowledge-based content, I think is, that's mighty. There's a lot there, but there's only so much they can do in any given day, especially when they have to be putting out content, talking to clients, traveling, speaking, et cetera, et cetera. So we want to extend their reach, extend their presence. And I always like to think about it as how can we create a digital experience where you feel like you're interacting with the analyst or interacting with our research division. This also allows us to serve different client types because we have a range of clients, and I would say they run the gamut in terms of sophistication and what they need to know and when they need to know it. And it could be everything from a corporate client who wants something thematic and high level, but smart and deep, all the way down to a hedge fund who wants to go super deep onto one line item, whether it be on an income statement or an inflation print or whatever it might be. But they want to go really deep in the weeds with our research analysts. And we want to do things at scale to enable that and allow our content to reach across the spectrum. This also lets small teams, I like to say, punch above their weight, because a small team, perhaps of 2 to 3 people covering, a large asset class, for instance, or covering a company, but maybe 15, 20 companies in depth. This allows them really to put their content out there and straddle the dynamic of high touch client interactions and low touch interactions with mass distribution. So scale is really key to everything that we do. And it means that things need to be automated and they need to be at times as frictionless as possible. So what we're looking at here is one place where we decided to do things at scale, and that was pulling all of our forecasts into one hub. So this was a labor of love. And what we decided to do was go across macroeconomics and then all of the macro market asset classes and pull forecasts that were living in PDFs and publications, shared drives, emails, chats, this, that, and the other. And we decided to pull them into one place. And I think this was a really good example of doing something at scale because it's hundreds of forecasts that are updated constantly and in real time. And now you can find them in one place. Another example of this is the calendar. We were able to say that we wanted to do all the data releases. I'm actually going to put an asterisk at all because it might not be all. And I'm careful about using qualifiers, disclaimers, and hedgers. So lots of data releases across the globe, APAC, EMEA, North America, into one place, and then linking the related reports, whether it be our analysts talking about what they thought the forecast was going to be, or then commenting after the fact. And again, doing this at scale, pulling this in an automated way. So it's not done by hand, but we can trust the veracity of it, that it's going to be the right content in the right place at the right time. That's what scale allows. It allows for comfort in knowing that. Again, on scale, I mentioned how many pieces of content we do per year, but on a distribution side, we also send out a lot, and there's a lot of touch points and digital touch points, and we want those to be high value, consistent, reliable. And again, that always means, I would say, that we're thinking about at scale when we're building or improving or uplifting. So we send out about 1.5 million emails per day. We have about 90,000 unique users per month. We have our mobile app, and then also we feed our content downstream to aggregators. More on scale. Scale is also, I think, very, very powerful because it's about, in my opinion, as the title of this slide suggests, doing the right thing once and then amplifying with purpose and intention, which again, these things are very simple, but I would say they're elegant and they're powerful. So I mentioned this idea of pulling content together. At the heart of it, that is what content strategy has to be doing in this function. We want to be able to pull together content, whether it's on a company, on that an analyst writes, or thematic, pull it into one place with ease, automated, and then send it out to clients. So this allows us to amplify content. And I want to give you an example of the flow here. So for instance, we start by tagging our content. Tagging sounds like such a bland word, but when I think about how powerful, instrumental, and important tagging is, it makes my little heart quiver, just truly. Tagging is so powerful, and tagging means that we have the right metadata on a piece of content. We know what it is, why it is, how it is, and then that allows us to put the content where it needs to be or pull the content when we're doing a large search, because that's necessary when you're putting out as much content as we are. So let me bring it to life and give you an example. When we were starting to think through last year with the US election, the gravity of how important that was going to be for markets and investors and our clients, we thought through how could we smartly tag our content and then distribute it down the chain, downstream. So we worked with our US economics team and we figured out that one tag wasn't quite enough. So the mother tag is called US policy and politics, but under that there's sub tags, or a second layer of taxonomy is what we call it. And that includes fiscal policy, trade policy, monetary policy, and I want to say tax policy. There's a fourth one. It might be tax, it might be something else. But effectively, we have a hierarchy, a taxonomy that is not flat, that labels our content automatically. We have the ability to override tags or add to them if we need to, but generally this, again, is all done at scale, so it's done automatically. So all the content that's being written on a daily basis, weekly, monthly basis, if it meets certain thresholds, it's going to get tagged US fiscal policy or US monetary policy and have that mother tag on it. Fabulous. Great. We're tagging our content correctly. From there, we then need to distribute this content. So we created a email, my research, And that allows the ability for clients to subscribe within my research to this tag. They can get this type of content. Great. They can get it pushed out to them if they so choose. But it goes further than that. From there, we also created a page on our platform, J.P. Morgan Markets, called US Policy and Politics, where all the content lives. And it's pulled in real time, dynamically, automatically, being one of the other keywords, tagging, automatically, at scale. And it's put all in one place for clients to come to. And that's not the push model. I think that's the pull model. If you maybe don't want it in your email, you can come and see it. From there, we also moved that page and that subscription and that thematic view onto our mobile app, right? And on and on and on. And you can see basically how the flow moves from end to end, from upstream tagging all the way to downstream where our clients consume our content. Last point on this. I feel like I'm getting very passionate about scale. Scale allows us, when we're doing things at scale and thinking about amplifying content within a content strategy framework, it allows us to reuse high value intellectual property and the deep expertise across formats, journeys, and channels. So with that tagging example of US policy and politics I just described, by doing that and doing it end to end, we're then able to like pluck out little pieces of the content or parts of it to reuse. Whether it's on a page, I want to have a policy box, maybe if it feels relevant on a geopolitics page, maybe I want to pull together a weekly highlight piece and I want to pull a content block of just the latest policy content, US policy content. I'm able to do that. If I want to then use it somewhere else, I can. So it just makes everything modular and reusable, which is very, very powerful to create journeys and put content, the same content in different channels in different formats. Digital engagement and reasons to come back. So I already alluded to the push-pull model. I think about this a lot. Again, simple, but I think it's a beautiful basic in terms of how to think about things. I'm constantly thinking about what our clients want pushed to them versus what they might want to come and pull. Now, distribution gets our insights out. That's email, that's alerts, notifications, anything that the client is subscribed to or set up for. And that's very, very powerful. But as well, I also think that engagement through channels that clients want to come to and pull from is also very powerful. And that is everything that we do on the platform, J.P. Morgan Markets. So that has to do with personalization, recommendation, things being frictionless, things being easy, and things being value add. And I just said a lot of things there, but effectively, in simple, non-jargony terms, I think for a client to want to engage with something, it needs to be easy. Right? It needs to be streamlined. It needs to be part of their workflow, and it really needs to add value to their life because there's a lot of different places to go and get knowledge. There's a lot of places to get content. And I really believe that it has to be as streamlined as possible for clients to want to come back and want to engage. And that's our job, to make it that way and listen to clients. So what you're looking at here actually is my research, which is everything a client, in this case, me, this example is me, this is true. Whatever a client is subscribed to, we made it into a personalized homepage, customized to them. Everything they're subscribed to and interested in, we have on a web page that's effectively taking the clutter out of the inbox and putting it into a page. We've also really come a long way with recommendations. And this was, I would say, a labor of love with the data science team, really understanding our content deeply, understanding clients, and this idea that you might like one thing, maybe you'll like this other thing. Or if people like you are reading something, maybe you would enjoy this article or subscription or analyst that you might not have come across. So recommendations are very interesting. And we see that all the time, I think, in very traditional consumer facing products, perhaps outside of finance. So it made sense to take some of those learnings and best practices and bring them into what we do here. Also, digital engagement can come from sticky, differentiated and unique experiences. And that's what we're trying to do and what we are doing with our research data tools. So whether this is proprietary data sets or really fantastic screening products or just unique differentiated data experiences, hosting those on the platform, right? We're not going to push that to you, but you can come and pull it. That would be a reason to come back. And we build all of these and with the idea that if it's easy to get into our portal, we're providing differentiated experiences and you're getting all the content that you would want to read anyways, perhaps in your email, that would be engaging and provide the hook to come into the portal, hang out, take a look around and see what's new. So digital engagement, I think also at its heart is very, very commercial because it's about showcasing content that matters and drives outcomes and ROI. And how we want to do that is keeping the commercial impact front and center. And I think commercial impact, it's a win-win, right? So it's this idea that we're providing something of value and of use very timely, at the right time, in the right place, in the right format. And that in itself is very commercial and it's very useful to our clients. So it's about aligning insights, I would say, to revenue moments, whether it's a data release, a moment of market volatility, something new, right on our radar, on our analyst radar, on the horizon that we think is relevant to showcase and surface to clients. We can do that via digital engagement. So a few examples of this. On this slide, we're just showing the global outlooks. This is a very large lift and campaign for us. And it happens at the end of the year for the year ahead outlook. And it happens in the middle of the year right now for our mid-year outlooks. And this is a very natural time to get all our researchers together, bring together content in written form, video form, client webinar, snippets, trade ideas, and it's what we think for the year ahead. And it's a very natural time because it's the year ahead and clients want to know what we think so they can help to build out the mosaic of their views. Also, conferences. We host conferences and there's a lot of really fabulous content that comes out of those conferences. But there isn't always a virtual option. Clients can't always go. So how can we take that content, amplify it, and digitally engage clients with it to drive outcomes, whether it be we're giving them an alpha generating idea, helping them confirm a view, helping them, debate a view, inform a view, et cetera, et cetera. So on the screen here, you're looking at something that just happened in Boston. This is our annual Tech Media and Communications Conference. It's a very big deal. There's a lot of clients that come, companies that come, but not everyone can attend. So we do key takeaways via video, notes, quotes. We build out a whole page on Morgan Markets. And it's this idea that we get to use digital engagement and use the digital experience to showcase content that we think will be very valuable to clients that they might not otherwise get. Also on this page, I'm using the example of where we're using AI. So our economics team, I'm going to say the word pioneer. I'm going to say that that's a bold word, but I'm going to say a few years ago, they were early using machine learning to pick up sentiment, and effectively they used machine learning. Now that's, shifted more into AI, or into, I guess, more recent iterations of AI, to figure out hawk dove scores on central bank sentiment. And this is all automated. This is under our quantitative economics franchise. This has been wildly popular with clients and corporates. It's super interesting. And here we're using this with charts and sentiment indicators, chart books, all sorts of things. And we're using, again, the digital experience to showcase content that we think is really valuable and impactful. And again, that's really aligning insights, data products, content products to revenue moments, whether it's one specific in time or over time. All right. So to kind of wrap up and conclude, I think overall, starting with trust as your foundation is absolutely essential to be able to get anything done, whether it's with your stakeholders or with your clients, or to further build trust with clients, to be the person that they come to in moments of volatility or unease or just market news flow that's perhaps, more heavy than usual, or there's higher volume than usual. From there, it's really about doing things at scale. And then that comes down to building with the end in mind, which is that we want to be able to reuse content modularly, different channels, different journeys, and be able to repurpose it. And doing things at scale allows us to do that and do it in a very automated way so that we can trust the experiences we're presenting are up to date, fresh with the right content, because it's all being done dynamically. And lastly, digital engagement is very powerful, and it augments and builds on the human trust, and it builds on the experience. So for us, that's meant data products. That's meant some of our best content, amplifying content from conferences, etc., and really just creating that end-to-end flow where the client has options, right? Whether it's to pull the content from us or to have it be pushed to them, whatever's more valuable. And digital engagement enables all of that. So I'm going to stop there, and I want to thank you all for your time and attention.